Level 1. The recruit. Before anyone ever steps into the streets pretending to be someone else, the process begins somewhere far less dramatic. It begins in a training room, a quiet room filled with other officers who volunteered for the assignment, all sitting at tables with notebooks open and confident expressions on their faces. Everyone in the room believes they are ready. Everyone believes they understand pressure. Then the instructors begin dismantling that confidence. Undercover work is not about bravery. It is about control. They start by showing recordings of operations that failed, moments where an officer hesitated for half a second too long, moments where a suspect noticed something unusual in a voice or posture, moments where a single awkward answer exposed an entire investigation that had taken months to build. You sit there watching these moments unfold, and something uncomfortable becomes clear very quickly. Criminals are extremely good at reading people. They have to be. Their survival depends on it. Anyone who operates in dangerous environments learns how to detect hesitation. They learn how to notice when someone is nervous. They learn how to recognize behavior that doesn't feel natural. And that means you must become someone who appears completely natural while living a lie. Training becomes an exercise in pressure. You are asked to build a cover identity from scratch. A name, a job, a background, a reason for being wherever the operation requires you to be. Once you create that identity, the instructors start attacking it. They interrupt your story while you're speaking. They question small details. They challenge timelines. They ask questions designed to make you second-guess yourself. The purpose is simple. Panic reveals weakness. If you hesitate before answering a simple question about your fake life, someone will notice. If you correct yourself halfway through a sentence, someone will notice. If your body language shows even a small amount of discomfort, someone will notice. So you practice again and again until the identity feels automatic. The story becomes muscle memory. The answers come instantly. You learn something during this process that surprises many officers. Undercover work is not about pretending to be someone else. It is about becoming someone else long enough that nobody questions it. Your cover identity must feel effortless. Your story must be simple. Complex lies collapse under pressure because there are too many details to remember. Simple lies survive because they are easy to repeat. By the time training ends, you understand something clearly. The greatest danger in undercover work isn't criminals. It's hesitation. Because hesitation reveals uncertainty, and uncertainty reveals the truth. Level 2. The observer. Your first assignment is not infiltration. It is observation. You enter controlled environments designed to introduce you slowly to real operations. Small investigations where the stakes are lower, and experienced officers are nearby if something goes wrong. Your job might be as simple as having a short conversation with someone connected to an investigation while wearing a hidden microphone. The instructions are simple. Walk in, talk naturally, ask a few questions, leave. But the moment you step into the environment, everything feels different from training. Training rooms are predictable. Real environments are not. The rooms you enter feel alive in ways you didn't expect. Conversations overlap. Music plays too loudly. People move around constantly. Every person seems to be studying everyone else without making it obvious. You suddenly feel very aware of yourself, how you're standing, where your eyes move, whether your voice sounds calm or strained. Even though nobody has accused you of anything, your mind keeps asking the same question. Do they know? This is one of the hardest parts of early undercover work. The anxiety of believing you are being watched more closely than you actually are. The people around you are not necessarily suspicious. They are simply observant. Environments connected to crime tend to produce people who pay attention to small details because noticing danger early is a survival skill. You learn quickly that dramatic confidence doesn't work in these places. Acting overly confident can look unnatural. Acting nervous can look suspicious. The goal is normal behavior. Normal behavior is surprisingly difficult to imitate when your heart is racing and you know your entire identity is fictional. Over time, you start noticing something important about human interaction. Most people are not actively searching for lies. They are searching for familiarity. They want interactions that feel ordinary and comfortable. If you behave like someone who belongs there, people begin treating you like someone who belongs there. The conversations become easier. The tension fades slightly. You start focusing more on listening than worrying. Observation becomes the central skill, listening carefully to how people speak, watching how they interact, understanding the rhythms of the environment. Real undercover work turns out to be far quieter than movies suggest. It's not dramatic confrontations or sudden action. It's patience. Long periods of watching, listening, and waiting. At this level, you begin understanding something important. Trust does not appear suddenly. It grows slowly through familiarity. And familiarity begins with simply being present without drawing attention. Level 3. The small operator. Eventually, your assignments become longer. Instead of meeting someone once, you meet them repeatedly. You return to the same environments again and again. People begin recognizing you. Someone remembers your name. Someone asks where you were the last time they saw you. This is when undercover work truly begins. Recognition creates expectations. Now every detail of your cover identity matters. The story you created during training becomes the foundation of every conversation. People ask questions about your job, your background, your friends. Casual questions that would be easy to answer in normal life suddenly require careful attention. Because your answers must remain perfectly consistent. You cannot hesitate while thinking about what your fictional job requires you to say. You cannot accidentally contradict something you mentioned weeks earlier. If your story changes even slightly, people notice. Your fake life slowly becomes larger than your real one. You repeat the same details so often that they begin to feel familiar. Sometimes you catch yourself answering to your undercover name instinctively before realizing it. This stage introduces a new kind of psychological pressure. You are now living two identities. Your real identity exists in one part of your life. Your undercover identity exists in another. Switching between them requires constant mental discipline. There are moments when the two worlds come dangerously close to overlapping. You might almost mention something from your real life while speaking with someone in the investigation. You might almost say your real name. Each near mistake reminds you how fragile your cover really is. But something else happens during this stage that many officers don't expect. The people you're investigating begin to feel human. At first they were just targets connected to a case file. Names on reports. Individuals suspected of crimes. Now they are people sitting across from you having conversations. You hear about their families, their frustrations, their jokes, their personal stories. Some of them are reckless. Some of them are arrogant. But some of them are surprisingly normal in ways that make the situation emotionally complicated. Because trust begins forming. They begin treating you like someone who belongs there, someone they recognize, someone they are comfortable speaking around. And every time that trust deepens, you feel the weight of the deception more clearly. Your role requires lying, not once, constantly. And the deeper the relationships become, the heavier that deception feels. At this level, you understand that undercover work is no longer observation from the outside. You are inside the circle now. And once you are inside, stepping back becomes much more difficult. Level 4. The insider. At this stage, something fundamental changes. You stop pretending to be someone else occasionally. You begin living as that person regularly. Your undercover identity becomes part of your daily routine. You spend more time maintaining the role than stepping away from it. People call you by your fake name more often than your real one. Your phone contacts are filled with numbers connected to the investigation. Conversations happen late at night. Meetings occur unexpectedly. Your schedule begins revolving around maintaining the identity you created. You are no longer visiting the environment. You are part of it. People begin inviting you into deeper parts of their social circles. Private conversations happen in smaller rooms where trust matters more than appearances. You are present when discussions become more serious. Trust inside these environments develops slowly, but once it appears, it becomes powerful. People defend those they trust. They share information more openly. They include them in decisions and conversations. And now that trust includes you. The strange part is how normal everything begins to feel. The people around you laugh, argue, complain about everyday problems just like anyone else. The environment that once felt intimidating begins to feel familiar. But that familiarity creates emotional complexity, because these people do not see you as a police officer. They see you as a friend, someone they talk with, someone they trust enough to let into their lives. Sometimes they do things that make the deception feel even heavier. They might help you with something, offer advice, defend you in an argument with someone else. And every time that happens, the reality of the situation becomes harder to ignore. You know something they do not. Eventually the investigation will end. Arrests will happen. Operations will close. The identity you created will disappear overnight. And when the truth comes out, the trust that once protected you will turn instantly into anger and betrayal. Living inside that tension changes how you think. Your mind becomes constantly alert. You study reactions carefully. You analyze conversations for signs that someone might be suspicious. Even when you are alone, your brain rarely relaxes completely, because maintaining a lie this large requires constant awareness. At this level, something else begins happening. The line between identities starts to blur. Your fake life begins feeling real because you live inside it every day. Your real life begins feeling distant because you spend so little time there. And the longer you remain inside the role, the harder it becomes to remember which version of yourself is the original. Level 5. The deep cover operator. At some point, the operation stops feeling temporary. Days turn into weeks. Weeks turn into months. The identity you created during training is no longer just something you use during meetings. It becomes your daily life. You wake up as that person. You answer calls using that name. You tell the same stories repeatedly until they feel completely natural. You respond to situations the way that identity would respond. Your real life begins shrinking quietly in the background. Friends notice you're gone more often. Family members stop asking detailed questions because the answers are always vague. Holidays pass while you are somewhere else maintaining a story that cannot be explained. Deep undercover work requires distance from the life you once lived. Not because you want that distance, but because maintaining two identities simultaneously becomes too risky. The more people who know your real life schedule, the greater the chance something could collide with your undercover world. So the separation grows. Your real name becomes something used only with supervisors and a very small circle of people who know the truth. Everyone else knows the person you pretend to be. Over time, that identity starts influencing how you behave. You speak differently around the people involved in the investigation. You adopt certain habits. You react to situations in ways that match the role you are playing. Sometimes you catch yourself doing something that surprises you, a phrase you wouldn't normally use, a reaction that belongs more to the identity than to the real person behind it. These moments are unsettling because they remind you how adaptable the human mind can be. Living inside a constructed identity long enough begins shaping your thinking. Not completely, but enough that the boundaries between the two versions of yourself become less clear. At the same time, the pressure grows. The longer an undercover operation continues, the more valuable the information becomes. Supervisors want evidence. They want confirmation of suspicions. They want results strong enough to justify the months of work already invested. But deeper access comes with greater danger. You are now surrounded by people who believe you belong in their world. They trust your presence. They assume your story is true. And that trust means the consequences of discovery are far more serious. If someone begins questioning your identity now, there is no quick explanation that can repair the situation. At this stage, exposure doesn't just end a conversation. It ends the entire operation. Deep undercover work becomes a balance between patience and caution. Move too quickly, and people become suspicious. Wait too long, and the investigation stalls. You learn to exist inside uncertainty, listening more than speaking, observing more than acting, because at this level the greatest protection you have is patience. Level 6, the trusted insider. Eventually something happens that every undercover officer both hopes for and fears. Trust becomes complete. The people you have spent months building relationships with stop seeing you as someone new. They stop studying you for inconsistencies. Your presence becomes routine. You are included in conversations that were once hidden, private discussions, plans, opinions that would never be shared with someone outside the group. The moment this trust appears, the operation reaches its most dangerous stage, because access increases dramatically. You hear things that confirm suspicions investigators have been working on for months. You witness moments that prove certain activities are happening. The investigation suddenly accelerates. Supervisors want details immediately. They want recordings, confirmation, evidence that can move the case forward. But the closer you move to the center of the environment, the thinner the margin for error becomes. People who trust you expect loyalty. They expect you to behave like someone who belongs in their world. They expect reactions that match the identity you have built. And maintaining that role becomes more difficult as the pressure increases from both sides. On one side are the people who believe you are one of them. On the other side are the investigators who rely on you to provide information that can end the operation successfully. You are standing between two worlds that cannot coexist. The emotional weight of this stage surprises many undercover officers, because the people around you are not always the monsters described in case files. They are individuals with personalities, relationships, families. They joke, they complain about ordinary things, they share stories about their lives. Some of them may even look out for you in small ways. And every time that happens, the reality of the situation becomes harder to ignore. Because eventually the investigation will end, arrests will happen, and when those arrests happen, the truth will be revealed. The trust that once protected you will instantly become betrayal. People who believed you were a friend will discover that every conversation was part of an investigation. This moment creates a strange emotional conflict. You understand the importance of the work. You understand why the investigation exists. But you also understand how deeply trust can affect people. And the closer you get to the center of the environment, the more intense that conflict becomes. Because the people around you do not know what is coming. But you do. Level 7. The Ghost. Every undercover operation eventually reaches an ending. Sometimes the ending is planned carefully. Arrests are coordinated. Investigators move quickly to secure evidence and take suspects into custody before anyone has time to react. Other times the ending is sudden. The operation closes unexpectedly. Someone becomes suspicious. Information suggests the investigation is at risk of exposure. Either way, the result is the same. The identity you lived inside disappears overnight. The phone numbers connected to that life stop receiving calls. The places you visited regularly are no longer part of your routine. The name you answered to for months becomes something you cannot use again. You return to your real identity. But returning is not as simple as it sounds. For months you lived inside a different reality. Your schedule revolved around maintaining a role. Your conversations followed patterns designed to protect the investigation. Now that structure disappears instantly. Normal life resumes. But normal life does not feel the same, because undercover work changes how you see the world. Every environment becomes something you analyze automatically. Every conversation becomes something your brain studies for subtle cues. You notice details most people ignore. Body language, tone shifts, moments when someone hesitates before answering a question. The habits developed during the investigation do not disappear immediately. Some officers find the adjustment difficult. Returning to normal routines feels strange after spending so long living under constant awareness. Others eventually return to undercover work again, because despite the stress and danger, the work has a unique intensity. The challenge of entering another world. The patience required to build trust. The mental discipline needed to maintain an identity under pressure. But every officer who experiences deep undercover work eventually understands something important. The most dangerous moment in any operation is not when someone becomes suspicious. It is when someone begins trusting you completely, because trust opens doors that would otherwise remain closed. But trust also creates consequences. And once the truth is revealed, the person you were inside that world disappears forever. The identity fades, the relationships vanish, and what remains is a strange silence where an entire life once existed. Just another story that cannot be told publicly. Just another name that no one will ever hear again. Another ghost who once lived inside someone else's world long enough to understand it, and then disappeared.